Good morning, my name is Bando, and today I would like to talk to you about Fulgrim's best purple people eaters. That is right, the Third Legion, the Emperor's Children. And I would like to show you how to detail them beyond the basics of the plastic kit. I say show, but it's more going to be discuss, as I don't particularly have that many pictures of the Third Legion myself, having only a couple of miniatures left. Now, I did actually have a Emperor's Children army back in 4th edition when the Black Books, the original Horus Rising trilogy and the Horus Heresy art books known as Collected Visions came out. And this inspired a lot of people around 4th edition to get into what was known as pre-heresy. And these pre-heresy armies were made using 40k miniatures. And a lot of the artwork in those books was not au fait with what we know today. And it was a wonderful time, full of wonderful conversions and some real passionate hobby people. And I do plan on doing a video on just that subject at some point. But that is not this point. I just wanted to preface it because I had an Emperor's Children army back then, and it was just a bunch of Mark 7 Marines, basically. Some really badly converted ones to try and make them look a bit more like Mark 4. At the time, I believe we only had one Mark 4 helmet available, which was on the Black Templars kit. But that was okay, because shortly after that we managed to get some kits from Forge World, and, we all know where it ended up. So, I have a couple of my own models to show you, but mostly I'm going to be using artwork from the Black Books and from the Collected Visions books, so you'll get to see some of that wacky artwork. And actually this here at the moment is one of my favourites. It's a bunch of Emperor's Children on top of some Sons of Horus rhinos, holding up a battle trophy at Istvan. Now, like the Sons of Horus, the Emperor's Children kind of fit into 3 distinct categories. The first is Loyalist or Great Crusade or Early War. The second is Mid-War, which kind of applies to both of them. And the third one is Late War, which really is sort of the Scouring and the Siege of Terror, and it's mostly for traitors, because at this point there really aren't many Emperor's Children as Loyalists. So, like the Emperor's Children, the Sons of Horus, the Emperor's Children were a very well-equipped legion. They were a relatively small legion, and they got a lot of Mark IV Maximus armour. So the Mark IV kit is going to be your bread and butter for this. But the Mark VI was also highly favoured by the legion. They did, however, use all marks of armour, just like anyone else, and they did have a big thing for Contempt Dreadnoughts. So, when detailing these models during an early Great Crusade or Loyalist or Early War, you really want to focus on making them look proper and professional. The legions believed in the perfect application of tactics and violence, and they didn't really allow much sort of swaying from doctrine. So to do this, I would look at keeping them clean. I would look at keeping them devoid of personalisation, particularly. Or if you are going to personalise them, keep the models relatively plain. And what do I mean by this? I mean, try to keep all the same ammunition pouches and keep them in the same place. Pop the grenades in the same place. Make sure they're all using the same marker bolter. Make sure the knives are always in the same place. Because these guys are drilled and drilled and drilled, giggity, in their training on how to fight. And they fight perfectly. Now, once we get to the other two, mid-war and late war, that goes out the window completely. But definitely for loyalists, I think that's an important thing. As is colour. Personally, I feel that a darker, more imperial-esque purple, something really sort of a darker, not quite pinker purple, definitely feels more like a loyalist to me. It's just in my mind. And that and gold. That and gold are the two real big colours for the loyalists. They did use white and black, but to a lesser degree, and only later did they increase those colours. Another thing you'd want to do is the heads they have, bear heads especially. You want to make sure that they are good looking. White hair, usually. Cropped hair might be better for early war, to show that they are still professional, they've got quite good standards. And really focus on also, I mean, you're going to have to kind of focus on the fact that they are survivors of Battling of Istvan. They're probably going to have a mixture of equipment. But I know that contradicts with them making them all look similar. It's a balance. They do take stylings from the Greeks. So you will want to look at things like ancient Greece, Sparta, Athens, those sorts of things. The city-states. Look at spears, taruges, horsehair plumes. I actually think they look better with a horsehair plume going front to back rather than side to side. The Romans, I think, look better side to side, personally. Romans? Ultramarines. Eagle-themed things is also a really good one. There's a backpack from the 40k command set that works really well. And another little thing for loyalists or early war that I personally feel, and it is just me, there is no basis for this in the fluff, there's no basis in this in anything, is the swords. Try to use straight-edged swords like Gladius, or broadswords, or Zweihanders, normal, he says, inverted finger quotes, normal looking swords. I think the sort of weird and curved blades and all that, like, that comes later. That's when the Legion's starting to get corrupted, I feel. Now, you can see here with one of my models, this is actually one of the, was a test model I did when I was just testing out my 3D printer. So the legs are actually printed. The rest of them is plastic. And you've got some, I mean, that torso is a great one. That comes from, I believe, the Stern Guard or the Vanguard Veterans box set. And that's the backpack I was mentioning earlier. And this was an attempt to do a kind of heavily weathered Emperor's Children. So you want to keep things, you know, eagle themed, and you want to keep things tidy-ish. But then, once we go from loyalist to traitor, things get weird. They get very weird. And one of the things that they can put in there, and I think looks really good for them, is top knots. Moving away from the Legion, the strict and disciplined Legion horsehair crests, and starting to move more towards things like top knots, or bare heads with long hair. And this was a Praetor I did a while back, as a one-off, when I was first getting into the Heresy anew. And the sword is taken from an Eldar kit and painted to look like it's made of glass. And he's got his silly little Infinity Gauntlet on there as well. And this is one of the Masters of the Chapter, and this is a great kit. I love the Masters of the Chapter kit. I threw on the Avalus backpack, and yeah, that's what I went for. So, Taruges, as you can see in this image, they really do tie into the early sort of Proto-Legion looks. Studded shoulder pads help break up the monotony. Extra studs on things. It really kind of gives that BDSM sort of thing where they're going into the Emperor's Children. One of the best things to do if you want to do your own studs on things is you can get half sphere nail decorations. So they're literally just half a circle or half a sphere. And you can get them in, I think, 2 or 1 mil. And yeah, you just pop a tab of glue and pop them on. I've used that for a lot of my kits. Now, unfortunately, you know, this isn't a perfect world, and the Emperor's Children do go a little bit naughty. And from that, we end up in a situation where they need to be told what to do. And when you go late war with these guys, it is all about making them look ragtag, making them look different, upping things like the contrast, getting to a brighter pink armour, throwing in more black, more white, more silver, more gold. They are described as a cacophony of colour. So you could throw any colours you want in there by the Siege of Terror, but keeping it purple and along that sort of line. They were running out of purple paint apparently, so that's why they started upping things like black and silver in their armour. But it's really down to you. But I do feel like a lighter purple, a more pink purple, works for a traitor force. You want to make your weapons look crueler. You want to maybe add some bare skin in there, and maybe start moving towards the more chaotic helmets, bare heads, that sort of thing, and moving away from the classic Legion look. Now, just got this guy here as well. I'm just going to touch on this briefly. This Legionnaire dying on the base of one of my dreadnoughts. And I've seen it before, but you can see I've used a Mark 10 helmet here. And I've done this because I like the Mark 4 helmets for other conversions. I wasn't using any of these Mark 10 helmets, and they look close enough. A Marine on the base here, he's not the centre of focus. So that's the sort of time you can use it. If you want to know how to pose models on bases, the trick is basically to file about a third of the model away. You just want to make that whole front section flat. You can get yourself some emery boards or sanding sticks. They're the best way of doing that. So I'll be doing a whole video at some point on posing. I've been asked to do a video on how to make dynamic poses, so I'll be doing that soon, as I can get some models to actually show that off on. And I'll be doing a Loyalist Legion next. I'm not sure who I'll be doing. I'll have to have a think about that. Could possibly do the Iron Hands. Maybe the Iron Hands. Okay. I don't normally do this, but as you can see, this guy's desperately reaching for the subscribe button, and I would appreciate it if you do. We're only 3 subscriptions away from 100 subscribers, which has blown me away. It's utterly nuts. Absolutely love the support you guys have shown. I love the questions you're asking. Please, if you're not going to subscribe, don't mind if you don't subscribe. That's fine. I know what YouTube's like. You don't want my stuff showing up when you're watching your own stuff. That's fine. Drop a comment in. Ask a question. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right. I love the interactions with you guys. Right. My name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. Have a great day.